Hey folks, I wanted to talk TikTok with all of you today. Specifically, I kind of want to talk about the TikTok ban a tiny little bit. I'm going to try very hard to steer clear of any political discussion because that's not what this is meant to be about. This is more to be about the artistic side of TikTok, the way I use TikTok, the reason I love TikTok. Um, One of the reasons I have it is in my suite of tools that I use to promote, everything that I do. And I just want to talk about this a little bit because it is a hot topic right now, and it might seem like it's off topic because I mostly talk about video games and fantasy and science fiction nerd stuff, TV shows and things of that nature. But this does potentially have an impact on my business, and I would like to talk about that a little bit here so that everybody can just be made aware of my perspective, and just how I'm looking at all this as I swing cables around. So, clear my throat and begin my discourse. Again, try not to be political here. I would also urge anyone, if you try to make this political and you leave political comments in the comments below, I will be nuking those comments and hiding you from the channel. I'd love to have a conversation about the platform as a tool and the creativity of the platform. I don't want to talk about political views and all this other stuff that people are injecting into the conversation. Although I will admit the caveat to talking about the TikTok ban means we do have to address a tiny bit at the beginning, but I'm going to try to do so in a way that's very neutral, journalistic, so that we can avoid any angriness in the comments. If you want to be angry, leave a dislike, move on about your day. The rest of us will have an adult conversation. So, the TikTok ban is a weird thing. There's a lot of conversations happening on either side of the table. It's not a set in stone thing. It still, I believe, has to pass the Supreme Court. And if you look at the general reaction that the American people are having right now in the United States, it's generally negative, and most people are like, who are the people making these decisions for us? Who are the people making decisions for us as a people? And the big thing, even though in the grand scope of things, the United States represents 10% of TikTok's audience. That's nothing. 10% of your total global scale is not that big of a deal. So if you lose 10% in one marketplace, not the end of the world, although recognizably the United States is one of the larger financial markets for them to be in. So from TikTok's perspective, they don't want to lose the United States as a market territory. That sucks. But at the same time, they're not going to sell. And I don't want to get into the weeds too much about that, but they're not going to sell. They would rather just say, okay, bye bye, U.S. market. We'll continue to do things elsewhere because they are an independent company that can go where they want, do what they want. Now, what's going to impact a lot of creators in the United States, because even though only 10% of the TikTok audience is or account user base is from the United States, that's still affecting, what is the number I've heard, like 140 million or something like that. It's a large portion. A lot of people use TikTok in the US, and a lot of them are making money on TikTok and literally making newfound careers for themselves doing things that they would have never have dreamed possible because it's the internet, and that's the power of the internet. Now, I can say this having gone through multiple iterations of the internet. I'm that 1980s baby. What is it? Gen Xer, tail end of the Gen Xers, very beginning of millennials, depending on your point of view. But I was raised with technology, so or raised watching technology evolve is a better way to say that. When I was a kid, no technology, and then in my early teens, internet, and then cell phones, and then more internet and accessibility and better internet and better cell phones and tablets and GPS and Google Maps and Uber and Uber Eats and all. I mean, just the evolution has been staggering to watch this grow from when I was a kid and we had no internet. Like, I was definitely, out there on a bicycle drinking from the hose. Like, we didn't have internet in our house until probably 1992, maybe. I was 11 or 12. I can remember when my dad got like AOL. And I remember my grandma had it before that, and they used it for like email and stuff. And my dad went on, got email for his business and for Quicken. He got a computer. And so, watching that evolution, and there's always been things that revolutionize the space and allow people to do something that was no longer possible before. I worked, I grew up on a dairy farm, and then went into the family trade, which was construction, ceramic tile and natural stone. And I did that for a long time, a long, long time, third generation. And I was on job sites from the time I was 7 until I sold all my tools and quit in 2028, or not 2028, 2008 when I was 28. And so now I did 20 years in the field. And, I don't miss that for a day. And the internet was what allowed me to finally pursue what I had always wanted to do, which was make a living as a writer, because suddenly it was more accessible for me to get my stuff out there because it wasn't being gate kept by a handful of publishers. It was now an explosion of digital publishers and all this new material and places you could go. And suddenly I was able to do something that had never been possible before. I started finding clients and making a living as a writer, building websites for people and filling those with content. And then that led to me needing to learn how to do PHP and WordPress and social media, the earliest stages, because I needed that to tie in because certain places wanted you to have them and certain clients wanted you to have them. And then that just grew into learning Photoshop and learning Canva and learning all these tools over the years. This is just another tool. But I've gone through this evolution before, and what's happening here is you're seeing the old guard extremely resistant to an uncontrollable growth mechanism that is allowing people to do something in a way that has never been done before. Because, again, try not to be political. When you have 140 million people who are making their money on a platform that you do not have, that you don't control, that can be viewed as that's competition. And in business, competition has to be dominated. And the Western way of doing things, the capitalist way of doing things, is dominate the market. So that's at play. There's, TikTok is doing the same thing, but on a global scale. Everybody wants a piece of that pie, and the user base are the ones who are getting hurt the most, because all you have these, and not the full 140 million people have become independent contractors who are making a living on the platform. But many of them are using it as a marketing tool to promote whatever it is that they do, their products, their books, their Amazon books, their website, their art services, their game dev services, their portfolio, whatever it is that they do. Then you have people who do dance videos and comedy skits, and I follow, like, on my TikTok account. Can I go into here real quick? My following, is it going to show me? It just shows me the accounts on the left. Hang on. So we've got, I follow Robot Chicken stuff because I love Robot Chicken. I follow Tom Green. I follow a bunch of art pages like Blue Velvet Art, who she just does weird art. And then we've got Exodus, which is an upcoming AAA game. We've got Fallout, Home Cooking, because I love Jacques Pepin, and I just love his stuff. So this is a cool account. Enshrouded, Halo series. Farther Side, it was this random dude I found who was taking his sailboat around Australia, but he's like a nurse, a doctor of some type. Anyway, there are lots of cool people on TikTok, and all of them are using this tool in some way to promote some type of enterprise that they have in their lifestyle. And it's sad that these people are going to lose access to that. Now, what about me? How does this impact me? Well, the plus side is that my TikTok account was created in Mexico City. So my TikTok account is Mexico regional based. And Mexico's government has said, TikTok, you are more than welcome to do whatever you want to do here. Please expand as much as you want, as fast as you want, because if you monetize that for our country, that's a good thing. Everyone's winning because we can get tax revenue off of that, and it just continues. And Mexico's in a good place right now economically. They're growing in really cool ways. The current leadership the current party has done good things, which is not something, I live it. And part of me is probably tainted a little bit by the fact that my wife and her entire family love the current president. But I've also been here on the ground for 15 years, not quite, but almost 15 years, and I've seen a lot of changes happen, and it's been nothing but for the better over the last few years. So because I'm here, I don't think that I will have any issues whatsoever because my TikTok count should continue to evolve. But I don't know yet, and no one really knows exactly how that's going to impact everyone else. But the one thing I would say is that anybody who's you know interested in this, you should watch both sides of the equation because it's good to get information from all different parties to make an educated decision about something or to have an educated conversation. It's good to know all sides of the discussion. And this one is extremely complex. There's a lot of complexities to it. And if I wanted to, I could easily turn this into a political bonfire that would probably get me in trouble with YouTube, but I'm not going to do that because YouTube is where I make a living. Um, I do love TikTok. From a creative perspective, I've been using it for 3 years, watching people do cool stuff. There's so many great Lord of the Rings, Middle Earth content creators on TikTok that would lose their main platform if this were to go away, and that would truly hurt the world, in my mind, because we could all use a little Lord of the Rings in our lives. And that's just one example. There's a lot of really cool stuff that happens on TikTok, and I would hate for people to lose access to this because of some stupid political thing that has nothing to do with, well, that would be too political of a statement for me to make. I use TikTok. I love TikTok. I don't care who owns TikTok. I don't care who owns Google. I don't care who owns Facebook. I just don't care. They are tools that I use to promote the way I make a living. This could all go away tomorrow, and I could be living off of the field, planting corn and beans and out there in the 105-degree heat. It could all go away tomorrow. We just don't know. For the meantime, I'm going to continue to enjoy the ride, and we'll see where it all goes in the coming years. But hopefully, we can see. I hope that we continue to see TikTok grow on a global scale and make everyone's lives better because there's nothing wrong with that. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, everybody. We'll see you next time. Stay safe.